Hi, I'm QDC. What we're about to build today is Italeri's LCVP with US Infantry Set. And for today, we're going to build just the infantry, not the entire boat. And this is going to be part 6 of my Operation Overlord diorama. Now this kit has 25 figures in there, but I'm going to build only 17. So let's go and start building this kit right now. So here is the bag that contains all the sprues for the 25 figure set for this particular kit. And as you can all see, there are just a lot of figures for me to build. So let's go ahead and build them right now. These are the completed model figures after assembly, and they're an okay set of figures. These figures are not that bad, and my biggest complaint about these figures are the seams. When I glued the legs and arms to the torso, it left huge seams, and so I had to use putty to fill those seams up, and that's the reason why you see white on each figure. That's the putty. I'm going to paint the figures now, and I'm going to use a different technique, a faster technique to paint the figures. I'm going to basically paint the figures and give it washes to show the details. And the reason why I'm doing this particular technique versus my traditional technique of painting each figure very carefully is because when I put these figures inside Higgins' boat, the sides of the boat is going to obscure most of the figures. So you can only see just really not a lot of detail from these figures set. So it doesn't make much sense for me to take my time and paint each figure very carefully because no one's going to see them. At least not that well. It's time for me to give the figure a wash. The first step for me to give it a wash is to actually protect it. I'm using a tester's spray lacquer in a gloss format to spray the entire model to protect it. And the reason why I'm using gloss is because it just, when you put washes over the model, it just flows a lot better. You don't have to use this particular brand. There are other brands out in the market you could use as well. I'm going to give the entire figure a wash. What you see right here is a dilution of dark brown artist oil paint mixed with mineral spirits, and I'm going to cover the entire model with the wash, except for the face and hands with this wash. I'm going to give the face and hands a different darker color wash later on. I want to remove some of the excess wash. The washes I want are supposed to be inside the folds of this figure's clothing, and the wash that's on top of the surface of the clothing I do not want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dry brush and I'm going to simply remove the excess wash that I don't want. The wash is dry now, and so I'm going to do some dry brushing. What you see right here is a mixture of a lighter color of this man's jacket, and it's an oil color. You don't have to use oil color, you can use other paints as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clean dry brush, dip a little bit of the paint inside the brush, and be sure to have the brush have just a little bit of paint in it, and then carefully brush the surface of the man's jacket like so, just to give some highlights. Here is the completed figure, all painted up and ready to go. And over here, you might recognize this figure is from a previous video from the same Operation Overlord. This particular figure, I took my time to paint the folds of this figure's clothing, and I painted it with various textures of shade, and also I painted the face and hands with various textures of shade as well. And to me, the quality of this figure looks a lot better than the quality of this figure, in which I used only washes and just dry brushing highlights. Now, this way of doing things isn't really that bad at all compared to this, but you could see, at least I could see, the difference between this figure quality and the painting of this figure quality. Alright, so we paint the model figures, and now it's time for me to show you the entire figure set from the beginning to the end. Take a look. These are the completed model figures after painting, and they do look very nice. This method of painting figures, of painting it and washing it and giving it some highlights, really do bring out the nice details of each figure. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that this way of painting figures would be a lot more, I won't say better, but more practical for most viewers who like to build model kits, because painting figures, the traditional way, like I like to do it, is very time consuming and does require a lot of skill. And so this particular method is really a good method, in my personal opinion, for most viewers. Now, the detail isn't as good as painting it the traditional way that I like to do it, but for this diorama it makes sense, because when I put these figures inside this boat, and what I'm pointing at is the hull of the Higgins boat for the model kit, the sides of the boat will cover most of the figures, sides here and sides here, and so the only thing you can see is the top of the heads and up in front. So this method of painting these figures is really appropriate for this particular model. That completes part 6 of the figure set. So what you're about to see is the video slideshow of the completed figure set that I just finished. So I hope this encouraged you to build your own model kits. So please stick around for part 7. I'm QDC. Thanks for watching.